the day that the Lord has made. Why don't you rejoice and be glad in this day with me? It's Monday, November the 8th. Monday, the best day of the week. Monday is my absolute favorite day of the week, and I am super excited to share Dr. M's table with you on today. So, we're going to be talking about a very taboo, controversial subject, and the subject is menopause. That's right, beloved. Menopause. I want to talk to you today about menopause. Why have not the village had a conversation before now about menopause? What has happened to us as a village that we have not shared? What happens to a woman's body as she enters into the phase of her life called menopause? Well, I'm going to be brave enough today to broach the subject of menopause and talk to you about what weird things have happened to you, and you may or may not have been experiencing some menopausal symptoms. All right, so let's start with some definitions first. So menopause, or the phrase or the phases of menopause, there are three parts of menopause. The first phase is called the perimenopausal stage. That is the stage of menopause where you begin to experience irregular periods, okay? An irregular menstrual cycle where you are menstruating prior to this cycle on time, every 30 days. You are having a regular period, and then something happens, and you go 45 days, you go 50 days, or you have a period for 7 days, and then you have one for 10 days, and then you have one for, you get the picture. You are now in a phase of your life called perimenopause, where you begin to experience irregular periods. And then after you experience the irregularity of your menstrual cycle, you begin to enter a phase called menopause. And in the menopausal phase of your life, you actually go 12 consecutive months without a menstrual cycle, without a period. If you make it 12 months, then your doctor, your medical provider deems that you are now menopause. You are in the menopause stage. And if you go those 12 months, the 12th month begins the phase of postmenopause. And in this phase of menopause, you experience all the symptoms that I'm getting ready to talk to you about, but they are severely less. Okay? So, what did we say? We said that menopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause is a natural decline in a woman's reproductive hormones. And the phases of menopause, those three, peri, menopause, and post, can happen in a woman's body between the ages of 40 and 60. Now, you do the math. 40 to 50 is 10 years. 50 to 60 is 10 years. You can possibly be in the phases of menopause for 20 plus or 20 years plus. Okay. So, you can start as early as 40. Some people start earlier than that. And you can go as much as 60 or a little bit beyond that. Okay. So this is a natural decline in a woman's reproductive hormones. Again, there are three stages or phases of menopause. There's perimenopause, irregular periods, menopause, 12 consecutive non-periods, and then postmenopause, where your symptoms are severely lessened and you have gone prior to that with 12 consecutive non-period months. All right? Okay. You got that down? Now, let me tell you why I thought it was very important for us to talk about menopause, besides the fact that nobody in my village was ever talking about it. My mom, my grandmother, various people have only talked to me about having a hysterectomy. And for some reason or another, Black women especially think that hysterectomy is the end all be all to all their female reproductive issues. Now, I'm not saying that if you have received a hysterectomy that you didn't need one. You probably did if you received one. But what I'm saying is that a hysterectomy does not have to be the final solution to what's happening with you as far as your reproductive issues go. Now, some people think that if you have a hysterectomy that it cuts out menopause, and it doesn't. Okay, let me just put that out there. A hysterectomy does not prevent you from going through the phases of menopause. All right. So even though you may not have a uterus, or you may not have ovaries or fallopian tubes, it still doesn't mean that you don't go through these three phases that I'm talking about, or even have the symptoms that I'm getting ready to reiterate to you. All right. So they only talked about, if you have a hysterectomy, make sure that you do this and do that. You don't want to have a hysterectomy because then you don't want to have sex anymore, and you're not interested in that. And then your vagina is very dry, and having intercourse is pain, all of that. But nobody ever talked about the symptoms of menopause and why it's important to know them, because when you don't know the symptoms of menopause, or the three phases, and all the symptoms that goes along with those three phases, you will begin to think that you're, number one, crazy. Number two, there's something severely physically wrong with you. And then number three, that you're actually going to die. Okay. So you'll think you're crazy, something's physically wrong with you, or that you're going to die. I want to lessen all of that anxiety and stress for you. And I want to share with you the 40 top symptoms that women go through in the perimenopausal state. And it actually follows you into menopause and then lessens as you go through postmenopause, which is 12 months consecutively without a period. All right. Okay. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because no one's talking about it. Women begin to think that they're crazy, they're going to die, and something severely wrong with them physically. And this is the other thing. They come to me as a licensed clinical mental health therapist, and they really, really think that they have an anxiety disorder. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that they aren't experiencing anxiety when I know that they are. They very well are experiencing anxiety. But I would say to them, please go to your medical doctor first to confirm some things. Get yourself a metabolic panel. Make sure that your doctor's checking all of your vitamin levels. Make sure that he's checking your dopamine, your serotonin, all of those brain chemicals. Make sure that you get a full physical before you want me to refer you to a psychiatrist for medication. And let me tell you why. Because anxiety is the number one precursor of perimenopause. You didn't know that, did you? Mm-mm. Anxiety, beloved, is the number one cause or symptom of perimenopause. And it is the anxiety that makes you feel like you are going crazy. Then it's followed by all of these things that I'm getting ready to talk about. Okay. So we're talking about 40, the top 40 perimenopausal symptoms. And I want you to know, sis, you ain't crazy. Okay. You are not crazy. You are either in perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, but you ain't crazy. All right. Number one. This is the obvious one, and people always talk about this, and well, you're joking. Oh, you must be going through menopause because you're having hot and cold flashes. They are intermittently interchangeable, or good Lord, some of you are lucky enough to have them at the same time. You're having a hot flash and a cold flash at the same time. And let me just share with you before I go on with the list, the reason why, again, too, that I was really interested in this for myself. It was in January of 2020, right before COVID, that I went to the doctor, and I was having my regular, physical and checkup, and I was sharing with him some of the symptoms that I was going through. And he said, oh, it sounds like you're in perimenopause. Well, of course, he talked to me a little bit more, but me being me, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. And I was shocked, beloved, just shocked at all of the things that come up and out when you're talking about going through this very natural phase of life, this very natural progression of a woman's life, this rite of passage that all women go through, but nobody's talking about it. And you would think that we would want to talk about it because it can help us as women to know that, no, sis, you're not crazy. No, sis, you're not the devil. No, sis, it's not the devil messing with you. Sis, this is natural. This is a part of you going through the next phase of your womanhood. All right. And so when he said to me in January of 2020, you're going through perimenopause, I began to do the research. And that was when I was 49 in January of 2020, because this year I turned 50. But I sat down and really took an inventory of my life. And I've probably been in perimenopause for the last 5 years. Has to be since 45, at least since 47. And so I was very shocked to know that I was in this phase of perimenopause that nobody talks about. Okay. And the reason that it got, to the point where I mentioned it to him, because I was having these cold and hot flashes. I mean, it's wintertime and I'm burning up and these little beads of sweat all over my head. But then they were so refreshing when it was time to be cooled off, because I was going through hot and cold flashes at the same time. And I thought, something's going on here. All right. So hot flashes, cold flashes, night sweats. No, sis, you didn't tinkle on yourself. Your gown is wet because you've been sweating throughout the night, because you've been cold and hot. All right. So hot flashes, cold flashes, night sweats, that clammy feeling that you have, heart palpitations. I can't tell you how many times I thought something was wrong with my heart even. I even had to wear a heart monitor because I'm like, somebody gonna tell me something because this ain't normal. What's going on with me? I wish that women would talk about this stuff. And so here I am. I'm going to talk about it with you because I don't want you to have to go through what I went through trying to discover what was wrong with me. And what was wrong with me was perimenopause. Okay. Heart palpitations, irritability, and we excuse that, right, when it's time for your period, but that carries on with menopause too. Irritability, mood swings, trouble sleeping, tossing and turning in the night, time, just trouble. You sleep. I mean, you're good and tired, and you go to sleep, and then 2:30 you're wide awake, and then you're wide awake until 6:30, and then you fall back to sleep, and you gotta get up at 7. All right, trouble sleeping, irregular periods. So you might, like I said, have had a normal period throughout your life, but then when you start to be in that perimenopausal state or phase of your life, your periods become irregular again. And so you're like, what's going on? And it has a lot to do with your how you are as far as eating. You need to eat right, beloved. You need to exercise. You need to get enough sleep. You need to get 8 hours of sleep. You do. You need to eat well, and you need to exercise, and you need to take care of your temple. All right. Low sex drive. He wants to, you don't. And you can't figure out what in the world is wrong with me. I'm always ready to mingle, but not during this time. It's like, dude, stay away from me. And the reason that you probably have a low sex drive is because you have a dry vagina. Your vaginal dryness is about to drive you batty. And so it's very painful to have intercourse. And so we don't want to do that. And so then you have fatigue. You're always tired, exhausted. You don't know why you're so tired. That's a symptom of perimenopause. Depression. I don't know if you have true depression or you having menopausal depression. And so that's why I want to know what's going on with your body, sis. I don't want to refer you to a psychiatrist to get medication for depression and or anxiety when you don't truly have depression or anxiety. It's just a symptom of menopause. And I'm telling you, when you take control of your body as far as eating better, sleeping better, exercising, and maybe putting in some intermittent fasting, I know I drink a lot of water, then it'll get better. My symptoms actually have pretty much gone away because I've taken control of my health. All right. Lack of focus. People have been diagnosing themselves with adult ADHD. Well, you might just be going through menopause, sis. Lack of focus, poor concentration, faulty memory, incontinence. You pee on yourself when you laugh. You cough, uh-oh. You sneeze, it's over. It's a wrap. Incontinence. It's not funny, but I laugh. Um, Itchy, crawly skin. Listen, I used to think that I had a nut allergy. Sincerely, I love cashews and pistachios. And so, I would have a handful of that as a snack. And then about 10 o'clock, I'm just scratching and itching and feeling like something's crawling on me. And then I would take a Benadryl, which made me feel better and knocked me out to help me sleep. But you don't want to get addicted to things like Benadryl or night aids to help you sleep, because that's not good for you. Benadryl is wonderful for your allergies, but it's not good for you to take as a sleeping pill because it actually does a number on your kidneys. So you don't want to get hooked on that. But achy joints, achy muscles, tense muscles. I even had a Charlie horse in my leg for months. I mean, if I would wear a shoe wrong, or if I don't know, I did too much walking, it was just horrible. Like, this actual cramp would wake me up out of my sleep. I mean, to the point where I was scared sometimes to go to sleep at night, because I was like, oh my God, that's going to be so painful, right? But again, what did I tell you? I took control of my health. I have always, I think, been a pretty good eater, as far as, I eat vegetables, but it's what I ate and when. So I intermittently fast now. I only eat between the hours of 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. I do 2 cups of vegetables 2 or 3 times a day. I do lean meats. I didn't eat meat for about 4 to 5 years, but I figured out, my doctor helped me to figure that out, I wasn't getting enough protein. So I started back eating lean meat, lean chicken breast, lean turkey, salmon. And I feel better, and I've lost some weight. And so it does work. And so the gallon of water, I drink either 7 bottles of 16.9 water bottles, or I drink Core. I love Core water. I think it's 33 point something milliliters. And so I drink 4 of those. But anyway, I drink plenty of water. So achy joints, muscles, tense muscles, sore breasts. There's some women who think that they're pregnant and they're not. Your breasts are sore because you're going through perimenopause, headaches, digestive issues. I mean, bloating, allergies worsen, weight gain, your hair loss, or you have thinning hair, more facial hair because your hormones are all over the place. You experience a lot of dizziness and vertigo, where you feel like the room is spinning or you just can't get your bearings. Your body odor changes, your pH level changes. So the deodorant that you were using, it might not work for you anymore. The perfume that you were using, it might mix with your body odor and actually stink on you. These are all things that happen to us women. It's a rite of passage. Again, you have electric shock feelings, tingling extremities. I mean, I remember at one point I thought, well, do I have restless legs? Like, there are so many. I think I've had all 40 of these perimenopausal symptoms. But listen, if you don't know, you don't know. And so that's why I want to, sound the alarm. I want to be your village crier. And I want to let you know that, baby, you ain't crazy. You just going through menopause. All right. Tingling extremities, bleeding gums. Nothing wrong with you. You're not going to die. You're going through menopause. Burning tongue, burning roof of your mouth, chronic bad breath. You keep taking all these colonics, or you're trying to give yourself an enema, and because you think you need to be cleaned out and your colon needs to be cleansed. No, you're just going through menopause. Osteoporosis, weakened fingernails. They're just so brittle and they just begin to break. Ringing of the ears. All of these, beloved, are symptoms of premenopause or perimenopause, and they can follow you into menopause and they can follow you past menopause. But supposedly, after you have not had a period for 12 months, these symptoms abate or they lessen. All right? I'm going to go through them one more time because I want you to be very clear that these are the top 40 perimenopausal symptoms: hot flashes, cold flashes, night sweats, clammy feeling, heart palpitations, irritability, mood swings, trouble sleeping, irregular periods, low sex drive, dry vagina, fatigue, anxiety, depression, lack of focus, poor concentration, faulty memory, incontinence, itchy, crawly skin, achy joints, achy muscles, tense muscles, sore breast, headaches, digestive issues, bloating, allergies worsen, weight gain, hair loss or hair thinning, more facial hair, dizziness, vertigo, changed body odor, electric shock feelings, tingling extremities, bleeding gums, burning roof of mouth, chronic bad breath, osteoporosis, which means your bones are very brittle and things are easy to break. How about I broke my little baby toe? Okay, that's another day. Weakened fingernails and ringing of the ears. I think your doctor calls it tinnitus. Tinnitus? Okay. Anyway, 40 of the top perimenopausal symptoms. Again, sis, you ain't crazy. I wanted to bring light and highlight the three phases of menopause. Perimenopause: irregularities in your period, all of those symptoms beginning to kick in, not at the same time, some worse than the other, some not at all, some you have all of them, but those symptoms kick in during the perimenopausal stage. Then you have menopause, where you have 12 consecutive months of not having a period, and you still have 40 of these perimenopausal symptoms. They are just getting to the point where they may be a little worse in the menopause stage. And then postmenopause begins the 12th month. These are 12 months after you've not had a period. And these symptoms that I just named should lessen. All right? So listen, I hope that this has helped you on today. I hope that you will be blessed by everything that I've said. I pray that we can have a discussion one day as a village as it pertains to menopause, because I don't want it to be something that we don't talk about. I don't know why older women don't talk to us about this, and maybe your mom did, or maybe your grandma did, and maybe they just talked to you in your house. But I'm talking about, it needs to be broadcast. It needs to be something that's put on a national stage, and we need to talk about what goes on in a woman's body when she is experiencing menopause. Because if you're not well learned, if you're not um, well informed, and if you're just not aware, you really think that something's going on with you, and you begin to Google and WebMD everything and diagnose yourself with all of these chronic illnesses. And baby, you're just going through menopause. All right? Okay. So listen, I love you with the love of the Lord. I pray that this Dr. M's table has been a blessing to you, ladies especially, and even to you men who are married to women who are going through it. I know my husband, because he's been informed and he has gotten his menopause certification, he is definitely more patient with me, and more understanding, and actually more loving, because he gets it, right? I think men go through something similar. I don't know what we call it, but he certainly is a man who understands his wife and what it is that she's going through. Okay. So I hope that if you're a man, that you got something to take back to your wives, or even your mom, if she's going through this. And ladies, if this is you, if you are between the ages of 40 and 60, listen, this is just a rite of passage, and it's something that we're going through together as a village, and let's support one another. We're not crazy, but we do need to get our health under subjection and under stability, and really, really take care of our bodies. When you begin to take care of your body, remember, eat right. Don't forget to intermittently fast. Don't forget to exercise at least 45 minutes of cardio a day. Don't forget your water. It's best that you drink a gallon, but if you can't do it every day, do it at least 3 times a week. It is so important for you to get 8 hours of sleep. When you begin to take care of your body will begin to take care of you. And these symptoms that you have experienced in the past will not be as severe as they have been. I promise you, I am a witness that these symptoms do not have to overtake you, and you can get control of your menopausal life. All right. Okay, beloved, I can't see any questions, but I know that you have been informed. I know that you have enjoyed this Dr. M's table, and you can share it with your followers or your friends or whomever else you feel that this information would assist. And I know that because I've been a light in your life, you are having an awesome Monday, and it is the best day of the week. All right. I pray that you all have a spectacular week. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal because you said so, and your words frame your world. I love you, and I'll see you again in December for Dr. M's table, and we'll see what our next topic of discussion will be. And as always, shalom, shalom.